Hi everyone and welcome to Creative Cakes by Sharon. Today I have another one of my double-sided cakes for you, and this time I'm creating the adorable robot Baymax and Armour Up Baymax, the main character from the new Disney movie Big Hero 6. Today I've teamed up with my super talented friend Francesca from Francesca Sugar Art, and she's going to show you how to create this cake topper of Armour Up Baymax. I'll leave a link to Francesca's tutorial at the end of my video and in the description box below. So let's get started. I'm using 3 8-inch round cakes today, and I've just coloured them with a bit of food colouring in the cake batter. I've got my fondant roller, an offset spatula, a palette knife, a sharp knife and my x-acto blade, as well as a round cutter. I've got some wafer biscuits here, and they're just plain wafers. I've got a couple spare just in case they break while I'm cutting them. I've got some white buttercream frosting, some chocolate ganache, and I've got some red, white and black fondant. I've also got my cake board as well as a round cake setup board. So to start with, I'm just going to smear a little blob of my chocolate ganache onto my cake board, just to make sure that the cake setup board is nice and secure. And then again, I'm just going to put another smear of the ganache at the bottom and start to stack my cakes. In between each layer, I'm going to spread some of my buttercream frosting. Now I need to start carving my cake by trimming off the tops and the bottoms. Baymax's head isn't exactly round or oval, it's more of a squashed round. So I'm going to trim off a little bit at a time until I get the shape that I'm happy with. Now, while Baymax doesn't have any ear-looking antennas on his side of the cake, when he's suited up, Armour Up Baymax does have these antennas on either side of his helmet. So to create those, I'm taking my wafer biscuit and I'm going to cut out a bit of a triangle. To cut the wafer, I'm just gliding my blade over just a couple of times, and then you can see it just easily snaps off with a nice clean cut. Once I've cut both my pieces, I'm just going to slide them into the cake. I'm putting it into the front quarter of the cake, not really in the middle of the cake. This is so that it's not so noticeable from the other side. Now it's time for me to cover the entire cake with my chocolate ganache and then pop it in the fridge for about 15 minutes to set. Once the cake comes out of the fridge, I'm going to smooth over the ganache, and I'm using my offset spatula and dipping it in some boiling water, just wiping off any excess moisture and then gliding it over the ganache. Now I've finished smoothing my cake with my spatula, and I just wanted to show you a little extra trick if you wanted to get your cake even smoother. I've got a clean piece of paper towel here, and I've just dipped it in some warm water, and I'm just going to gently smooth the paper towel over the ganache. I'm applying just enough pressure to smooth out any bumps in the ganache, and you can see on my paper towel that really there's not much chocolate coming off the cake. This is a really good technique to use to get into tricky corners of a cake. So I'm pretty happy with my cake now, and the surface is just moist enough and ready for me to start covering the cake with my fondant. I'm going to start on the side for Armour Up Baymax, so I've rolled out some red fondant and just cut off a straight edge at the bottom, and I'm going to carefully roll my fondant onto my roller and then drape it over the cake, making sure that I've got my fondant covering the antennas as well. Then it's just a matter of opening up the fondant and smoothing it around the cake. I'm going to trim off the excess fondant in line with the antennas, so coming up from one side of the cake, over the antennas and down the other side of the cake. For the opposite side of the cake, I'm using some white fondant which I've rolled out. I've neatened the bottom edge, and once I've transferred the fondant onto my roller, I'm going to carefully once again drape it over the cake, making sure I cover the antennas. And then smoothing out the fondant on the sides and the bottom, and trimming off the excess where the white fondant meets the red fondant. Using a little ball of white fondant, I'm just going to rub it over the surface of the cake to achieve a nice smooth finish, and also to massage the white fondant right into the red fondant so that I get a nice join at the seam. I'm going to work on adding the details to the armour up side of Baymax. So using my white fondant, I'm going to cut out the space in his helmet from where his eyes look out. And then using a little bit of water on the back, I'm going to adhere it onto the cake. To add some definition to his helmet, I'm going to roll out a few pieces of white fondant into some long snakes, and then using some water, I'm going to attach it to the cake to create a few ridges in the helmet. You can create whatever patterns you like here. I need to of course add the eyes for Baymax on both sides, so I've cut out 4 circles using my little round cutter, and I've rolled out 2 snakes with some black fondant, and I'm just going to adhere the eyes to both sides of the cake. Of course, when Baymax does not have his armour on, he doesn't have these white pieces poking out the top of his head, so I'm going to stick a piece of black fondant over the top to act as a camouflage. So here he is, guys, my double-sided Baymax cake with his armour and without. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, don't forget to give it a like and share it with your friends. I love to get your feedback, your comments and your suggestions, so don't forget to drop me a line in the comment section below. If you do happen to make any of the cakes that I show you, please do send me a photo of your cake on my Facebook page. And guys, don't forget to check out Francesca's wonderful Baymax cake topper. The link to her tutorial is on screen now. And if you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe to my channel so you can see more double-sided cakes like this, plus many more of my other creative cake tutorials. And as always, thanks for watching.